Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to a Friday night video. Last week, I actually attempted to do this, and I just I couldn't get it going. Not because it was like night, just I didn't like the video. Sometimes I'll edit them out. We're gonna look at one of the probably the best book of 1996. This is by Claudio Castellini and written by Ron Mars, but more importantly, it's drawn by Claudio Castellini. This book is seriously, it's so insane. When I got it when it came out at the comic book store, happened to be lucky enough. I always would look through every new book that would come out, and this book was like you just had not really seen a level of skill and quality like this. And there was some good shit coming out at the time, but Claudio was like next level. It was really almost kind of one of the, and this is not fully accurate, but for mainstream American comics, there hadn't been a lot of comic books that had the level of detail that a European graphic novel has. Now, there had been some really good shit in American comics, but this definitely has the feel of something a little beyond what most American comic books offer. So let's get into this. This is really insane, and it's going to be a lot of fun looking at this. I can tell some stories of things that I understand that happened with this book, and point out some stuff. So when we get into it, this is just the inside cover. But from what I understand, the book was inked, but for some reason, something slipped. I don't know if it was the channels got messed up when they scanned it, or when it went to color and it was submitted after it had been digitally colored, that something was turned off. But the book prints in a very weird color where you almost think it's pencil. Now, I could be wrong on this, but this is what I remember. I tried to Google it to see if what I remembered was right. But looking at this inside cover right here, this is clearly inked. This is inks. When you see the inside of the book, what you're gonna see is a very different characteristic of line art, but it actually, in a weird way, made it stand out even a little bit more. So, all right, let's get into the legitness of this. Oh my god, this is so good. So, dedicated to the memory of my father by Robert Mars, from Ron Mars. And then this book is dedicated to the incomparable John Buscema, my mentor first and now my dear friend. So Claudio obviously had some kind of stuff before this, because for this to be released and he's already dedicating it to someone as famous as John Buscema and saying that he's now friends with him, either while he was working on the book. I'm under the impression this book took a few years to do, and you'll see why when you see the insides of it. But again, that actually creates another parallel to European graphic novels, is generally speaking, they spend about a year on it. So maybe he spent a year on it. But all right, so here's the first page. We'll go into full screen mode and just really enjoy a fairly tight shot of it, where we can see the full page. So absolutely beautiful Silver Surfer. The meteorites or asteroids look killer. The Kirby sky is beautiful. There's like these fine feathering lines in here. But you can see it looks a little gray. But this looks inked, you know? But like this in here looks a little like pencil. My guess is whoever scanned the art could have also have made a mistake. It's possible. It just depends. Because if the art was sent into Marvel and they just had someone who's used to scanning normal, like level detailed stuff, and then they scan this, if they're using a generic setting, it can do all kinds of weird things. You really have to scan for the work. My work is a good example of that, you know. I have to really be careful the way that I scan it. Light creates a lot of glare when you scan, so you have to kind of re-level it, and you know, you're using your artistic eye to try to dial it into either a look that you want or the look of the original drawing. It just depends, you know, like Mignola stuff. If you see an original of Mignola, it's very washy blacks, but in Hellboy they're solid black. But man, that is beautiful. Look at all the detail up here. Holy macamole. So kick-ass. All right, let's continue. We have more insane shit. There's some double-page spreads in here that are going to rock your socks off. This is one of them right here. Let's go. Look at this. This is some crazy shit. This planet right here is very, very flat. Everything is almost facing us. It needs the ellipses need to curve a little more. But this one too. What is going on? This is great though. Man, this is I love this look. I just call it the Wally Wood moon. But man, this is crazy. This guy is as psycho as I am. And that's a compliment. Man, I kind of knew, honestly, going into this book that this is a little dangerous for me to see. A little bit. Because then you start thinking crazy thoughts. Alright, let's zoom out so we can see it. Let's soak in the full piece again. What do you think, man? It's pretty cool. Let's look at the surfer here. But do you see, like, how, like this looks very gray? And this all looks very gray. I mean, obviously they've got a light effect on it too, but man, it's so kick-ass. All right, let's look at Surfer. Go, go, Surfer, go. Dude, just this Kirby Crackle alone, oh my god, it would take forever to do. I did a couple of pages with like Kirby Crackle in a thing that I did, and oh my gosh, it's so time consuming to fill in the blacks, especially if you do it like if you're not using like a marker or something like that. Man, this is beautiful right here. What do you think so far, right? This is a good Friday night jam. White Raven, she's pretty. She's got the Buscema vibes. I mean, you definitely get the sense of Buscema in this. But again, you see how light these lines look, that it ends up looking a little different than inks. I'd be curious for people that follow original art. Anyone ever see any of these originals for sale, or like that they've sold in the past? Somewhere on planet Earth, flat Earth, is these original art. It's kind of funny because those planets were a little flat, and then we were on flat Earth. I'm kidding. It's only kind of flat. No, right. Oh man, that's cool. This right here. Oops, sorry. I didn't mean a paint bucket brush. Some funky red. That's cool. He draws great hands, great feet, great monsters. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to do a video tribute to Carlos Pacheco. Seeing this reminded me of Pacheco. I am a huge Carlos Pacheco fan. He was one of my favorite comic book artists when I first started collecting comics, and he announced recently that he has ALS, and it's a very sad situation, but it's incredibly important that I pay tribute to him because he really genuinely was you know, a top favorite of mine. And the very first original art that I ever bought was Travis art, which you guys know how much I love Travis Charest, for people that don't know, like, are gonna try to Google it. And I bought Carlos Pacheco pages. So that's how much I loved Pacheco's stuff. I was so excited. I could not believe that I could have an opportunity to buy originals from him. So it's in my thoughts. It's a very sad situation, and it's a terrible disease. So, you know, I'll do it. I really just been so busy, and then today was very scattershot. Man, this is great. This almost reminds me a little bit of Bart Sears. I guess, you know, if you think about it, Bart Sears does actually have, like, Buscema and stuff. Bart's stuff has always been so stylized to me, but I've noticed he's been posting a lot on Facebook, and it is actually very cool to see him posting a pretty steady stream of art, because Bart was real popular and very well known when I first started collecting. It's funny that she's, like, grabbing her boobs. What's going on here? She's even slipping her hand in there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What you got going on, girl? All right. This was so good. I couldn't even fathom like ever even attempting something like this. I mean, it still is to be clear. But man, this pose is great. Yeah, I mean, like when I got this comic book in '96, it was just like, oh, that's like what other people do. Like, you know, like normal humans will draw comics, and then you've got like God level. And this is definitely like, it's crazy because I would have to imagine that he had done something before this, but I never had seen anything before it. But man, if this was his first book, this dude was on fire. Man, I love doing all these videos today for you guys. It was a jam-packed day. I did a really long video for Patreon. I got a bunch of business stuff done. It was a really good day. And I feel a little more relaxed. Like I said, I had a pretty stressful week. So that kind of sucked, but I feel like I'm coming out of it. Galactus is such a cool character. Ooh, look at that upshot with the nice shadows. How many of you guys have seen this book before? This is a favorite of Kelsey's too. I mean, it was very unplanned to do this video. Someone had asked about it a week or two ago, and someone asked me again today, and I was going to do Chain Gang more tonight. I was definitely going to do a video, but I initially was going to do Chain Gang more, but I kind of bumped this up the queue because, you know, we've been looking at the Marvel UK stuff, and I wanted to deliver something that I personally feel is like a knockout punch. Generally speaking, I don't like to do a lot of just like random sort of books because I don't want people to lose interest in what I'm sharing. You know, hopefully my videos, it's like a little bit of a seal of approval of like this is good. Rich is taking the time to do a video on this. But I like exploring too. Like, you know, it's fun to look at stuff that you just have never seen. But this I thought will be very appealing to people, in particular if you've never seen it. Let's look at the whole page again really quick. The colors on this book are not bad by any means, and Claudio may have colored the book himself. You know, coloring just evolved so much over the last few years. Like, this is really beautiful. Man, he draws good. God dang. But yeah, it's like I don't know. I mean, I feel like I guess it's the scans too. It's a little bit of a bummer. It's so faded. I know that's a concern that people have for Blaster Kid, is because the stuff is so detailed. They're worried that it's not going to shoot well. But again, you have to understand, I'm scanning the art, and I've worked very detailed in comics before, so I kind of know. I know the breaking point of like line work. The thing is you have to really pick who's going to print the book very carefully. So I've reached out to friends, and I'm gonna try to really track down the best printer that I can for the book, because I just can't have an average print job on it. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, you know, this is really interesting. I remember getting the book because I was working professionally in '96, and kind of being perplexed on what it was going on. I think at the time, because there was little tiny bits of rumbling of that you could maybe turn pencils to inks by leveling it, and I kind of think, because like even this, you could imagine if he had super tight pencils that you could level it, and if you cleaned it up like around it, that it might work out. God, it really does look like pencil. It's so weird. It just looks like dark pencil to me, because even all the little like hairs and fibers in the page, it's like right there, that's hair, that's paper fiber on that. It's so weird. They need to do an artist edition of this. If he still has all the original pages, I would buy it in a hot second. Hot minute. Hot second? What is it? I don't even know. All right. Hot something. Okay. Another one of his epic moons. And then a very big ship. It's really interesting when he does these shots of the moon. He has a little tiny bit of trouble actually doing the craters in perspective. Wow, that's really cool. He's got a very good mix of sizes too. Like this is a good example. It's quite a busy page, but he's got this really nice big shot of her face right here. We've got some medium stuff. There's some smaller stuff, like smaller, you know, little area right here. It's kind of cool. This is sort of smaller. So it's a very dynamic look. The layout on this page is really cool too. And it reads pretty clear, to be honest. I mean, you've got this really clear shot of the ship. We get this nice, like, I guess it's a front view of them flying towards us. We cut to inside a cockpit with her flying. We've got this going on outside of it. Real tight shot of her sort of like getting, you know, super aggro. And then this. I mean, it's really, really cool. Really cool. Gosh. Damn. The hell, dude? This guy is a savage. Oh my god. Like, look at this. Sorry, it's like if I make it, I can make it a little smaller and then we can see the whole piece. And then I'll zoom in a little bit and then we can do the macro. Man, that's good shit. John Buscema must have been pretty impressed. He's got that old school vibe, though. He might be like, kid, you're putting in way too much stuff. I don't know why he sounds like Stan Lee, but... Actually, you know, that wasn't a terrible Buscema, because Buscema's in the Painting with Fire documentary, and he talks about, I always imitate the thing where he goes, if it looks like a photo, I don't want to see it. Any kid can trace a photo. But he was talking about how Frazetta didn't have a photo reference stink on his art. Oops, sorry. But yeah. And they were interviewing him at San Diego Comic-Con, and it was probably like 1995 or so. I saw Frazetta in person. That's the only time that I ever saw Frank in person was at Comic-Con in like 94, 95, something right around that time. I don't think I was a professional yet, and I was working for a friend of mine. I was just kind of getting and collecting comics. I remember seeing Frank behind a table, and there was a huge line, and I was like, that's that famous guy. But I didn't know enough about comics to really put it all together. And the line was way too big to get in and meet him. You know, like as a kid, I had seen Frazetta book covers, and I had seen there was puzzles that my friend had of Frank's work and things like that. You know, everyone really had seen a Frazetta piece. You know, man, this is just crazy. You know, I think more contemporary colors would probably cover up too much of the work, to be honest. So I was thinking about this as I was looking at some really colorful stuff earlier, not comic stuff, but just some digital coloring, and I was kind of like soaking it in and digging how it looked. But it like something like that, like with these explosions, would really overwhelm it. You know, so this might have been a better call. Man, this guy is so cool right here. He's a great looking villain. So Buscema. Look at these hands too. The determination on the surfer is just great. And all this is so cool. Absolutely incredible work, man. Really, really just mind-boggling good. We've got like half the book left still. Oh my god, look at this. So I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I honestly think that this is the showstopper comic of 1996. If you want to bring something to the table to have it fight out with Claudio Castellini's masterwork, please feel free to put it in the comments section. All suggestions will be considered. Man, these are so good. Okay, let's look at the whole page again, though. Good God. You know, I looked at this book within the last 2 or 3 years, but I honestly, in the last like 15 years, I've probably only looked at it a few times. I definitely still have the comic book somewhere. I haven't seen it in forever, but there's no freaking way that I would ever have gotten rid of this. If I did, I'm a fucking moron, but I don't think so, but I haven't seen it in a long time. Now I'm nervous. I'm like, did I get rid of it? Because I haven't seen it in a long time. It's like, just made my trip bad. I have to still have it. There's no way I would have gone. These are the inner dialogues that I have all day. Did I turn off the stove? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not like that. I had a friend like that. That was really more of a joke about him. He could never leave the house without, like, a whole ritual. We didn't know what it was because we were just teenagers and they didn't have all these, like, labels for shit when I was a kid. It's like, did I check the gas? I'd be like, yeah, you checked the gas like 5 times. Let's fucking go. Jesus, can we leave your house? Oh, man, that's so good. That's really good too. Yeah, it really is funny though. This was so good, and it was so, like, I was so blown away by this book. But there was never one time that I ever, like, aspired to get it wasn't even on the table as like an option. That's unusual because normally if I see something this good, I'll be like, that's where I want to go. That's what I want to do. This is beyond detailed. It's the next level of detail. I don't think that his work after this ever went this crazy again, though, and I could be wrong on that, but I'm nearly sure I had seen some work that he had done a few years after this, probably in the late 90s or early 2000s, and you could definitely tell it was him. Like, the structure and the aesthetic was the same, but it didn't have the same level of detail as this, as far as I remember. Oh yeah, I remember this fucking guy. Look at those hands. It's like E.T. melted. Oh, this is nice. That's really good too. Damn, even these backgrounds. And these little leaves. It's just really interesting. It's fun revisiting this and kind of like, I've never looked at it as a penciler, if that makes sense. You know, like the last time that I saw this, I wasn't, you know, what I would consider a professional penciler. It's like an aspiring penciler. But yeah, it's really comics is such a trip. It's a really long road through art. One thing that definitely is, I've grown older. I really do respect people that just have been in the business for a long time. When you're younger, you're kind of like, whatever. But you get to a certain age and you kind of go, man, you know what? Longevity is really, really impressive, because this is a brutal business. It's so much work. You know, a guy like Claudio, he's not getting paid that much more to do this level of detail as someone that's knocking out a page every day. I mean, because Marvel may have paid him a little bit more, but I highly doubt he was getting some sort of like crazy like psycho rate for the level of psycho detail that he put in. It's not really how companies work unless you're a big name. You know, the thing is they'll put a lot of money into artists that they know can sell books, but also it's a one shot too. So it's like it's a one and done, you know. Hard to promote a one shot unless it's someone that's like, you know, the McFarlane, Greg Capullo, Spawn Batman. Like that's a book, although it's two creators, but you get what I'm saying. It's like that's a slam dunk to, you know, put 50 million variant covers on it and it's gonna do really well. But a book like this, it's, you know what I mean, like would be harder to sell enough to justify paying him a ridiculous amount. Like even this freaking thing right here. Oh, that's cool. The little figure down there. It's you know, that's a tough thing to do. I have a few drawings that I've done for Blaster Kid where I have little tiny figures, right? And they're a little tiny bit bigger than that, a little more clear too. But yeah, it is one of those things where I was going like, okay, when this is shrunk down in the book, are these going to be too small, like where it will look cool? Because if it doesn't look cool, then it's not worth doing. You know what I mean? You need to come up with another idea. I think like the pink helps you definitely see her. Man, this is great. But yeah, that is a really, really tiny figure. I was like, Surfer up there. But I mean, you could definitely see her. This is so cool. It's great, great stuff. Ah, this hand, the lighting on it. This right here. Oops, brush. Now that is cool. God, man, that is so cool. Let me soak that in for a second. Wow, man, that is beautiful. So nice looking. Kind of, it was like weird when I was looking at it, I was getting kind of like Corbin vibes. The soft fade. You know, this kind of thing looks pretty cool. I don't know if that's like if he misted a little bit of white on it to break that up. Hard to say. This is a nice shot. He moves the camera around really well. It's interesting because Stuart Immonen really moves the camera around well. Stuart doesn't draw with this much detail, but Claudio's really good at picking shots. And I was just like, I don't know why. I was just thinking like, man, there's not a lot of like comic book artists that draw wild shots that draw in this style, meaning that I consider him to have like Wolf's Portaccio, Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri type dimensions to his characters. People that tend to do a lot of wild shots and like tricky angles and stuff like that usually are more cartoony, you know, and then their everything is like on 11, but it's rare that you get an artist that draws like this. Looks very Wolf's to me. It's rare to get an artist that draws kind of like, we'll call it pseudo comic realistic. This isn't realistic, like photorealistic, but and then moves the camera around that much. But that's why Stuart Immonen came to mind, because Stuart's cartoony, but there's a little bit of like a thing going on. But Stuart moves the camera around so good. He's another guy that like when I look at his stuff, I just enjoy it for what it is, and I don't have fantasies about like, oh yeah, like if I get there, I get there, but I don't know if I would be able to learn it from them. It's not a cop out. I'm just saying that like let them have what they do. This is really good. The funny thing with a style like this is you can't let off the gas pedal. If he started to burn out, we'll see. We'll see if the quality dips. But like he put in so much budget on the early stuff to like start simplifying the work would really just look night and day. So this will be very interesting now that we're getting into the deep water. this part of the book starts to separate the men from the boys, we'll say. The champions from the aspiring champions. I don't really know this character, but I'd be like, oh man, did I really gotta draw this freaking dude? Sorry if you were a big fan of him, but he looks goofy to me. I was like, it's ruining all my originals having melted ET on the pages. He draws him great. I mean, it's not that. It's just it's like this is awesome. This is really awesome. But his face is so funny. Silver Surfer fans are ready to murder me now. They're like, how dare you talk about... This is really good. This is awesome too. God damn. He gets the finest lines. Like, look at this stuff. He must have used, well, if it's ink, then it doesn't really matter, but I'm assuming he must have used a pretty hard lead, like a 3H or something when he penciled. Maybe not, though. He might just be a sharpener, a guy that sharpens his pencil a lot. Ooh, I don't remember this. So, Ron Mars. I don't really know much about Ron Mars, to be honest. Why I was thinking about the writers, I was thinking about the panels, how many panels, the layouts and stuff like that. Because Claudio's doing some pretty fantastic stuff with the like layouts, but Ron doesn't look like he's too verbose with his talking in the story. So I don't want to spoil any other pages, or I would shut that one. This is kind of cool. It looks like the, what is it, Never Ending Story Demon Dude? One of those movies. Let's go like this really quick. Crazy. Pretty cool anatomy, like all through here. It's nice. Looks like we got maybe like 12, 13 more pages to go. Might as well do the whole book. What the heck? It's Friday. Friday night. I'm actually going to start penciling a piece as soon as I'm done with this. For a little bit. I'll draw for like an hour and a half. I'm going to... Oh, I'll actually share this with you. I've seen the movie before, but I've mentioned in a few of the videos I've done recently that I'm really kind of into D&D right now. So have a lot of, it's like fun listening to like YouTube videos on Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. But there's a movie about the art of Dungeons and Dragons called Eye of the Beholder, and I think it's on Amazon Prime. I have like a DVD of it. But it's really, really good, and it's so fun to see that art, and it really does actually get me excited to draw and feel creative, and it reminds me of being a kid and, you know, wishing that I could draw as good as I wish that I could draw, you know, and then to be able to draw for a living now, it's like pretty neat, you know. Never would have really, you know, honestly, it's a weird thing, like, and I don't know if this has happened to any of you, but like I showed a lot of artistic potential, and everyone who knew me called me the artist. So, you know, there's always kids like that. I wasn't the best kid artist. There was a couple of other kids that I was friends with that were I thought were better than me, but I could draw pretty good. And no one at school ever like pulled me aside and said, hey, you know, you could like go and get a career in art. And like, it's just so weird that like, you know, you can like no one ever said that to me. So like when I was growing up, there was just a point where I just sort of put art on the side and kind of went on to other things, because it's like, I've said this in other videos and on Patreon and stuff like that. I really thought that people that drew comics and did like animation, I thought they were all old men. 'Cause that's all I'd ever seen. You know, you'd see like the old animators at Disney, or they would interview, you know, some guy that was a comic book artist, and they all look like grandpas. And I was like, you know, I remember as a kid just thinking, well, like that's not really like a job for young people. I didn't really put like I didn't put together like where like how you. That's this really weird crop right here. I never really put together like, you know, like what would be the process to get involved in it. I do honestly think, though, as now as someone who's been involved in art for a long time, that there's definitely like you people are generally really good in their 20s, early 20s, or you'll spike later. You know, I think the two are both possible because there's tons and tons of artists that you can use as examples that just got better and better and better throughout their careers. And then some just burn really bright for a few years and then just can never really retain what they did. So it's pretty interesting. You know, again, I've always looked at it as a long game, which probably was a good call. But that was just, I knew that I would do it forever. Man, this is great. This is probably the simplest page that he drew, and this is still hard. He's like, an easy one. This will only take 10 hours. Oh my god. This is a little hard to read. Wow, that Silver Surfer upside down is so good. Stuff like he doesn't draw like Stuart Immonen, but boy, he's got the shots like Stuart, or they just share that in common. But man, that is badass. All right, so let's see what we got here. This Surfer right here. I'm gonna rotate him too so you can see it. Man, that's a kick-ass shot. Upshot on the head. His body is just like killer. This is all really good. Love the hand coming out, going out of the page. Like he didn't like try to force it in. This is all super badass. Man, the lighting on this is really cool too. There's lighting coming from below, so it's getting these nice shadows over on everything. It looks really, really good. Or, well, it's weird. The light is almost emanating from like here, because this is all like lit. Or, I don't know, there's like another light source coming from here. Might be a little bit of fictional lighting. Oh, this is cool. That's great. That's probably right out of like a Buscema. Yeah, I really would be curious to see a black and white from this book. Just even one single image. I'll have to Google it when I'm done and see if I can find one. Like I said, it's possible that he never sold the originals, but you never know. Or if he's even taken a photo or shown them before. I mean, you'd think he'd be pretty proud of this and want to share it. In particular now with like social media and all that, you know what I mean? It's like one he could either, oh my god. It's like double page spread mania. Wow. That's nice. That's really, really nice. Oh, you know what? I can open this window. There was like, when I went to start the video, a plane flew over, so that was super loud, and then a helicopter came after the plane. I was like, all right, I'm just going to shut the window. It's getting hot. Hot. All right. Well, this was really fun. Talk about a trip down memory lane. Let me do this really quick, just for the heck of it. This won't be perfect, but I'm going to try to take out some of this gray. Let me level this a little. This probably wasn't the best page to do it on, but just kind of curious to just get an idea of what it, like, obviously it's not what it would look like in black and white because there's still a lot of gray, but man, it's wild. It doesn't look bad though, to be honest. Gets a little muddy up here and a little bit back here, but past that, a lot of it actually looks pretty cool. And that helps a little bit when I darken the other level. So I could do this. I'll take out one more level of gray. Oh, yeah, I'd have to darken it. All right, we'll just get out of this. All right. Ooh, we're right at the end. Getting there. Nice. Draws the hands in fun positions. They're pretty cartoony, but really like wild. He's got the splayed hand. Oh man, look at this upshot on her. Oh, it's so good. That looks right out of like Adam Hughes comic. God damn, draws good. Jeez Louise. This face is so awesome, and then this face is so awesome, and then this face right here is really cool too. She's a little cross-eyed, but you kind of would get like that if you were looking at someone this close. So it's actually pretty accurate, and the Silver Surfer is great. This little face is good too. It's hard shit to do, to put shadows on a little tiny head like that and actually not mess it up. And this is a great little small face too. Damn, Castellini is a beast. A beast to be reckoned with. Possibly there's no reckoning with this guy. Oh man, I remember this. Okay, so I don't know, based on looking at this, because this is very, very black compared to most of all the other pages, and I don't know why this page is scanned so differently, because this all looks kind of like the other stuff. But this would be a fucking nightmare to fill in the blacks around all this stuff. Oh my god. That really would just, like, I mean, I've done stuff that crazy, but that's crazy. That's like, I mean, you're talking hours and hours of just filling in blacks. Probably 5 hours. I mean, it's not a hard effect to do, to be honest. You have your vanishing point, you're just sending all these like lines to it, but to sit and fill in blacks around all this stuff. Oof. And I know there's people out there going like, well, in Clip Studio I can just paint bucket it, man. Digital. But you don't have Claudio Castellini originals. These originals would sell for a lot of moolah. Moolah. You're like, well, I could sell a one-of-one print of my digital page. Yeah, you could. You could. And this is like, even looks like different. These are like the thickest feathering lines that he's done in the whole book. Like all of his other ones are like just so thin. This face is great. And this is really good. God damn, he draws a great Silver Surfer. Okay, and we've got 3 more pages left. Ooh, look at that. Damn. Oh my god, this was so fun. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. He's really brave with spotting blacks on the faces too. You know, like this is some pretty dramatic lighting he's got going on here, and it really, really looks good. And man, like I love this. The shadow hits the cleft like under the nose, and then it returns. You know, this side is catching the light. You can really see the planes that he's indicating. But man, I have to imagine that other people have done this book on YouTube. I've never seen a video on it, but I'd almost guarantee that someone has. There's so many book review channels. Wow. The end. God, he kicked ass on that. Well, hopefully that was fun to check out and you enjoyed it. And, you know, again, I kind of hope that some of you maybe had never seen it before. Let's turn this black. This is as close as we're going to get to seeing a black and white piece. That's really, really cool. It's funny because when you see it like this, it almost, I don't know, kind of like it has a little bit of a Top Cow feel. Like, the inks almost remind me of a cross between Joe Williams and Bat. Or that kind of thing, you know what I mean? So, all right, you guys have a great night. I'm going to get to penciling, and we can look at the back cover since we've seen it 50 million times. Man, that was cool. So, all right, you guys have a good one. Please continue to recommend stuff. We'll get back into like some manga next week too. I'm always down to check out new stuff. Had some really, really good suggestions. I'll go back and recheck those videos, and other videos too for recommendations. But I would say, you know, like if you're interested in having me do an artist or something like that, feel free to just put it in the newest video. That's where I'm most likely to see your suggestion, and I don't really care if you've written it on 20 other videos. You know, a comment's a comment. It's fine. I'm not gonna like stop spamming it. There's no censorship on my channel. Period. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.